Hi, this is Kerry Artak with Wicked Stocks, bringing you your daily Tesla report for Monday, April 21st, 2025. Let's take a look at the charts. I'm going to start with this one, and I think this pretty much says everything if you're a 3 to 5 week swing trader. You've got a descending 1/3 speed line that is yet to be tested following the move low that was put out almost 2 weeks ago, the April low. And that is a trend-defining line study that I've used for years, able to contain buying, in this case, I think, through the month of May. You know, the rule of thumb with the descending 1/3 speed line is following the move low, this speed line did not exist until the move low came into play about 2 weeks ago. And so holding below the descending 1/3 speed line, the tendency for continued bearish rotation, a continued bear trend remains intact below 283.04. And in this situation, I'm expecting the low 160s to mid 150s. Once again, we've got a 5-year channel bottom there. This is a weekly chart now, different than the first chart I showed, which was daily. This is a weekly chart that goes back some 5 years, 4 years anyway, to January of 21. 156.32 to 162.42 remains our long-term objective. Over the next 3 to 5 weeks, I think is still likely holding below the speed lines that I show here once again in the 283.04 to 289.52 region. And so if you're to buy Tesla, there's another way of phrasing it. And once again, we have also this mostly horizontal channel top at 289.52 that I like because there's a correlation here. And so there's two scenarios in which I am comfortable buying Tesla over a 1 to 2 month, 3 to 5 week, in other words, a long-term time frame for many of you. It is either A, closing above 289.52, or B, holding out and waiting for the low 160s and mid 150s. This is an area, 156.32 to 162.42, that may well contain an annual low. It is a 5-year channel structure. And from here, I think what is likely then, once we test this mid 150s, low 160s, is we can rebound nicely near to midterm. But I think we then get locked in a protracted consolidative phase before the market then presumably continues higher as we move into later 25 or 26. But for right now, closing above 289.52 is just the opposite. That is your go long strategy through the month of May. The following 3 to 5 weeks, then likely to reach 385.63, which is a descending 2/3 speed line that came into existence once the move low was put out a couple of weeks ago. And if you close above the descending 1/3 speed line, you are anticipating as an objective the descending 2/3 speed line. Let's take a look at kind of like the day itself and the next few days. I'm looking for which chart I actually want to show. This covers the downside actually pretty well. We have this 237.34 downside 5/8 Fibonacci. That is 5/8 from the move low in early April against the actual pullback high that was put out 2 days later. We've yet to close below it. We've certainly tested it late last week. If we break or open today below 237.14, might we test 215.42? I'm almost asking that question. That would be a big move in itself for a quiet Monday. But if it's not a quiet Monday, certainly if we were to open below 237.34, we would be gapping below last Thursday's low, and that in itself can set off follow-through selling. So yes, let me rephrase this, that if we break, especially if we open today, Monday, below 237.34, I see no good reason to bottom pick this market to actually buy into it aggressively on a day trade basis until or unless we actually test 215.42. which can contain today's lows. And it actually lines up pretty well with the recent lows over the last couple of months. But, we're looking at a triple bottom here, which is much less common than the double bottom that presently exists. And I think if it contains it for a day, that would be about it. I do think a settlement below 237.34 is setting up a sell signal to 195.71 within a full week of trade, perhaps. Now, volatility has contracted considerably over the last week. So what I see as a one-day possibility, this could be a 3 to 5 day objective, truth be told, right? 195.71 could be a 1 to 2 week target. It's hard to say, but the emphasis does remain south. And what I mean by, I'm going to go back to this chart here. and just say that holding below the 280s, 283.04 to 289.52, will keep this descending channel bottom at 195.71 in reach over the next several weeks. And with present volatility, yeah, that is a realistic 2 to 3 week, not any sooner. Now we can spike, volatility can spike, and we could see 195.71 within a matter of days. And as I said earlier, if we close today below 237.34, my sense is we'll fall to 195.71 by Friday's close. There is a descending channel bottom, of course, a 1 week structure only at 215.42 that will have a little something to say about that. I see 215.42 as a solid day trade level that if tested, you can stick your neck out and buy it. Day traders, a 3 to 5 day swing trade, perhaps back into the upper 230s. But overall, I guess the point I really want to make, and I've made it already, is that if we do happen to close below 237.34, it is the channel bottom at 195.71 that I think is at play by the end of the week. This descending channel bottom, as you can see, is by some point in May converging anyway with our longer-term objective in the low 160s. So that's a point, I suppose, worth making. I don't see this week, but if we close below 195.71, we're just another week or so away from reaching our overall objective at 162.42, the beginning of a range down to 156.32 that may well contain an annual low. And so that covers the downside pretty well. Let's talk upside here. We have this 1 week channel top at 256.36 that, if tested today, can contain intraday buying pressures. I don't think I have them on both charts, but the way I see the day trade is you can buy 237.34 and you can sell 256.36, and you could trade both sides of that as an aggressive day trader. If we push through 256.36 today, expect 264.41. Just a simple trend line off the recent highs going back to late March can contain daily buying pressures. I don't see this as a 3 to 5 day swing trade, FYI. I think that if we close today above 256.36, this descending channel top, that would likely pivot the market up into the 280s later in the week. But for the day itself, 256.36, if we push through it, 264.41 is likely, and I think that would be the extent of the upside trade. It does line up pretty well with the highs over the last week or so. So yes, today anyway, it's a settlement above 264.41 that clearly indicates 283.04 to 289.52. But as we continue into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I will probably bump 256.36 up from just a mere intraday pivot point to a session containment level, because it has real 3 to 5 day swing trade meaning, I think. So once again, I'm saying it here, but I don't show it well here to the far right in the support resistance column. And that is to say that if we close today above 256.34, I'm talking close, end of the day, if we're trading the last 5 or 10 minutes comfortably above 256.36, I think that's a go-long strategy for 3 to 5 day swing traders to the upside, who can then anticipate the significant 283.04 to 289.52 region, an area where 3 to 5 day swing traders should take profits, reverse, and go short, and 3 to 5 week swing traders can play the short side in this low to upper 280s, anticipating then bearish rotation back into the mid 150s to the low 160s. Once again, last thing I'm going to say here is if we close above 289.52 over the next week or two, and I don't expect that, but if so, then we actually have a nice buy signal through the rest of May into June, the following 3 to 5 weeks likely to reach this 385.63 descending 2/3 speed line. I think that pretty much rounds it out. Please click like, share, subscribe, check out wickedstocks.com. Take advantage of our 5-day free trial. We offer daily Triple Q, daily SPY analysis, weekly Apple stock analysis, and we put out 2 stock picks every week. You can see them all. The last 4 are still quite relevant. The 2 for every week, the last 2 weeks. So check us out. You can see it for free, 5-day free trial. I will be back tomorrow, of course, with Tuesday's Tesla. You have a great day.